Long before the first sails of Europe broke the horizon of the Atlantic, a sophisticated and defiant civilization was being carved directly into the crimson heart of the American desert, proving that the spirit of human ingenuity knows no bounds when faced with the infinite challenges of nature. While many stories of ancient history focus on the lush valleys of the Nile or the marble columns of Rome, a far more mysterious and technically advanced society was thriving in the high desert plateaus of what we now call the Four Corners region of the United States. These were the Ancestral Puebloans, often referred to by the Navajo word Anasazi, and their story is not merely one of survival in a harsh landscape, but a breathtaking saga of architectural mastery, astronomical precision, and a communal bond that allowed them to build some of the most impressive structures ever seen in the Western Hemisphere. To look upon their ruins today is to realize that the American Southwest was once the site of a sprawling cultural phenomenon that rivaled any of its contemporaries across the globe, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes through the windswept canyons of Arizona and New Mexico. Imagine walking through a landscape where the sun beats down with an unforgiving intensity and water is more precious than gold, yet finding yourself standing before a great house that rises 5 stories into the air with more than 600 perfectly synchronized rooms. This was the reality of Chaco Canyon, the beating heart of a network that connected hundreds of communities through a series of roads so straight they seemed to have been drawn with a celestial ruler. These people did not just inhabit the desert, they mastered it by developing agricultural techniques that allowed them to grow corn, beans, and squash in a land where rain was a rare and sacred blessing. They understood the soil, the seasons, and the subtle rhythms of the earth with a depth that modern science is only beginning to fully appreciate, turning a seemingly uninhabitable wasteland into a flourishing garden of human achievement. The true genius of these ancient architects becomes even more staggering when you realize they achieved all of this without the use of metal tools, the wheel, or beasts of burden to carry their heavy loads. Every single stone used to build the massive walls of Pueblo Bonito was hand-quarried and shaped with nothing more than harder river rocks, and every massive timber used for the ceilings was carried by hand from forests over 50 miles away. Thousands of logs, some weighing hundreds of pounds, were transported across the burning desert floor through sheer human willpower and organization, representing a level of social cohesion and shared vision that is rarely seen in the history of civilization. You might wonder how they managed such a feat without a centralized government or a standing army, but the answer lies in their profound commitment to the community and their spiritual connection to the land they called home. However, the most mind-blowing aspect of their civilization was not just how they built, but where they looked for inspiration, as their architecture was actually a massive, living map of the cosmos. For decades, researchers were puzzled by the strange alignments of their buildings, until they discovered that the great houses of Chaco Canyon were perfectly synchronized with the solar and lunar cycles. One of the most famous examples is the Sun Dagger on Fajada Butte, where 3 large stone slabs were placed with such precision that they use sunlight to mark the solstices and equinoxes on spiral petroglyphs with an accuracy that rivals modern chronometers. But it goes even deeper than the sun, because these people also track the complex 18.6-year lunar standstill cycle, a celestial dance so subtle that many modern civilizations never even noticed it, yet the ancestral Puebloans etched it into the very foundations of their stone cities. Just when you think you have grasped the scale of their intelligence, the story takes a dramatic turn as the people moved from the canyon floors up into the very faces of the cliffs themselves. This transition led to the creation of the legendary cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde, where entire cities were tucked into the massive natural alcoves of the sandstone walls, protected from the elements and perhaps from outside threats. To see Cliff Palace for the first time is to witness a dream made of stone, with its towers, kivas, and residential blocks hanging precariously yet securely over the valley floor below. This was not a desperate move for safety, but a brilliant adaptation that utilized the thermal mass of the rocks to keep the homes warm in the winter and cool in the summer, showing an advanced understanding of passive solar engineering that we are trying to rediscover today. The life of a person living in these cliff cities was a testament to physical and mental toughness, as they climbed hand-and-toe holds carved into the sheer rock faces every single day to reach their fields on the mesas above. They lived their lives on the edge of the abyss, raising children and honoring their elders in homes that offered one of the most spectacular views on the planet, all while maintaining a complex social structure that emphasized harmony and balance. Their pottery, characterized by intricate black-on-white geometric patterns, was not just functional but was a medium for a rich visual language that told stories of their migrations and their spiritual beliefs. Each bowl and pitcher was a piece of high art, created by skilled hands that found beauty in the clay of the earth, proving that even in the most demanding environments, the human soul craves expression and elegance. The irrigation systems they developed were equally impressive, consisting of a network of check dams, reservoirs, and canals that captured every single drop of seasonal runoff to nourish their crops. In a region where a single dry year could mean disaster, they built a buffer against nature through collective labor and technical foresight, ensuring that their granaries remained full even when the clouds refused to break. This was a society that looked centuries into the future, planning their resource management with a sustainability that modern urban planners would envy, and doing so with a deep respect for the natural world that they considered to be a living entity. They were the first true engineers of the American landscape, shaping the terrain to serve human needs without destroying the delicate balance of the desert ecosystem that sustained them. One of the most intriguing mysteries that still captivates historians is the vast network of roads that radiated out from Chaco Canyon, stretching for hundreds of miles across the rugged terrain of the Southwest. These roads were not mere footpaths, they were often 30 feet wide and carved directly through hills and over cliffs, maintaining a perfectly straight trajectory regardless of the obstacles in their path. Because these people had no wheeled vehicles, the purpose of these massive thoroughfares remains a subject of great fascination, with many believing they served a ceremonial or symbolic role, connecting the different great houses into a single, unified spiritual landscape. These roads were the arteries of an empire of ideas, facilitating the trade of exotic goods like turquoise, macaw feathers from deep in Mexico, and seashells from the Pacific coast, proving that they were part of a massive global exchange long before the term was ever coined. As you dive deeper into their history, you begin to realize that the Ancestral Puebloans were not a primitive people struggling to get by, but a highly organized and intellectually vibrant society that valued knowledge and art. Their kivas, which were circular underground chambers used for religious ceremonies and community gatherings, represent the spiritual center of their world, where the people would connect with their ancestors and the spirits of the earth. The masonry in these kivas is often so precise that the stones fit together without the need for mortar, a feat of craftsmanship that has allowed these structures to stand for over 800 years against the harsh desert winds. They were a people of deep thought and profound ritual, whose every action was imbued with a sense of purpose and a connection to the greater universe surrounding them. But then, around the late 1200s, something truly unexpected happened that changed the course of their history forever. They began to walk away from their magnificent stone cities. For centuries, people believed that the Ancestral Puebloans simply vanished into thin air, leaving their homes and belongings behind as if they had been spirited away by some supernatural force. This mystery has fueled countless legends and theories, but the truth is actually far more inspiring than the myth of a disappeared race, as it reveals a story of incredible resilience and cultural evolution. They did not vanish, they migrated, making the difficult decision to leave the homes they had built over generations to find a new way of life in the face of changing environmental conditions and social shifts. A massive, multi-decade drought had gripped the region, making their traditional way of life in the canyons increasingly difficult to maintain, and yet they did not fall into chaos or despair. Instead, they utilized their deep knowledge of the land to move south and east, eventually settling along the Rio Grande and the desert plateaus where their descendants, the Pueblo, Hopi, and Zuni people, still live today. This exodus was a calculated and courageous movement of an entire culture, carrying their traditions, their stories, and their identity to new lands where they could continue to thrive. The abandonment of places like Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon was not a failure of their civilization, but a testament to their adaptability and their refusal to be broken by the whims of a changing climate. We must look at these ruins not as tombs of a dead culture, but as the enduring monuments of a people who helped define the American spirit of perseverance and innovation. The blood of the ancient builders still flows in the veins of the modern Pueblo peoples, who continue to practice many of the same ceremonies and maintain the same deep connection to the earth that their ancestors did 1,000 years ago. When you visit these sites, you are not just looking at old rocks, you are looking at the foundation of a heritage that has survived for millennia, outlasting many of the empires that rose and fell in Europe and Asia during the same period. This is a story of continuity and strength, reminding us that even the most formidable challenges can be overcome when a people is united by a common purpose and a shared respect for the world they inhabit. The technological sophistication of the ancestral Puebloans is a powerful reminder that primitive is a word used only by those who do not understand the complexity of the past. To build a 5-story building that aligns with the moon without a computer, or to grow a surplus of food in a desert without a modern irrigation pump, requires a level of genius that is truly humbling. They were masters of mathematics, geometry, and structural engineering, using the materials at their feet to create a world of order and beauty that still leaves modern visitors in a state of awe. We should feel a profound sense of pride in the fact that such a remarkable civilization flourished right here on this continent, setting a standard for human achievement that continues to inspire us today. Every time we look at the stars or wonder how to build a more sustainable future, we are treading the same path that the ancestral Puebloans walked 10 centuries ago. They showed us that it is possible to live in harmony with a difficult environment, to create art that lasts for ages, and to build a society where the success of the group is more important than the ego of the individual. Their legacy is written in the stone of the cliffs and the dust of the canyon floors, a permanent record of what human beings can accomplish when they work together and listen to the rhythms of the earth. Their story is a beacon of hope, proving that even in the driest desert, the seeds of greatness can grow and flourish if they are tended with care and wisdom. As we reflect on the incredible journey of the peoples of the Southwest, we are challenged to rethink our own relationship with the world around us and to find that same spark of ingenuity that allowed them to touch the sky from the floor of a desert canyon. The ancestral Puebloans left us a gift, not just in the form of beautiful ruins and intricate pottery, but in the example of their indomitable spirit and their profound understanding of the universe. They remind us that history is not just a collection of dates and names, but a living, breathing narrative of human struggle and triumph that continues to shape our identity and our future. To know their story is to understand a vital part of the American soul, a part that is rooted in the earth and aimed at the stars. The next time you see a picture of a cliff dwelling or a desert sunset, remember the thousands of people who called those rocks home and who built a civilization that was as grand as it was grounded. Their history is a treasure that belongs to all of us, a source of inspiration that urges us to build things that last and to live lives that matter. They were the architects of the canyons, the watchers of the moon, and the masters of the desert, and their names may be lost to time, but their achievements will remain as long as the sun shines on the red rocks of the West. We stand on the shoulders of giants who didn't need steel or glass to reach the heavens, they simply used their hands, their hearts, and the wisdom of the ages. This journey through the world of the ancestral Puebloans is only a glimpse into the vast and complex history of the American continent, but it is a glimpse that reveals a profound truth about our shared human potential. Their story encourages us to look closer at the world around us and to appreciate the hidden layers of genius that exist in every culture and every era. As we continue to explore the mysteries of our past, let us do so with the same curiosity and respect that those ancient astronomers felt when they watched the sun align with their stone walls. The legacy of the Southwest is a call to excellence, a reminder that we are all part of a long and magnificent story of people who dared to build something extraordinary in the most unlikely of places. The echoes of the ancestral Puebloans are still heard in the rustle of the sagebrush and the silence of the high mesas, inviting us to listen and to learn from their incredible journey. Their cities may be quiet now, but their message is as loud and clear as it was 1,000 years ago, that with vision, community, and a deep respect for the natural world, there is no limit to what we can achieve. Let their story be a source of pride and a catalyst for our own imaginations as we move forward into the future, carrying the lessons of the past with us. The American Southwest is more than just a landscape, it is a monument to the enduring power of the human spirit, a spirit that first took root in the red earth and continues to reach for the infinite possibilities of tomorrow.